Okay, for the second part of this double-layered biscotti, I'm having starting out with 1.5 cups of flour. Then I'm going to add some cocoa to the dry mix, and it's going to be about 1/2 cup. Then we're going to put in the sugar and the baking powder and the salt. Okay, for the second layer of batter, the wet ingredients are the same as the first, and we're going to add them in. Okay, we've got our batter nice and thick. It's sticking real nice to the beater, and so we're going to add a cup of chips to this batter also. Mix them in there. Okay, now we're going to take the two batters and put one on top of the other. The one underneath is a white batter, no chocolate in it except for the chocolate chips, and the top will have the chocolate in the batter. Other than that, then the two batters are essentially the same, but it makes for a nice visual effect. And by the way, when you're mixing these batters up, don't worry if you get it too thick. Add a little bit of milk to it to make it less thick. So this stuff, you can see, is very thick. This is great. This is exactly how you want it. It's not sticking to my spatula hardly at all, which is one of my criteria to did I get this correct. Alright, now you spread this out over the first batch, making a second layer, trying to get it even. Now just visually, I'm going to cut this in half and cut it in half again. Okay, now I got 2 bars going. Now I want to get 2 bars out of here. It doesn't really matter if the bars are exactly all even, because you're making a lot of biscotti here. Okay, so you want this bar, a couple inches wide, not too thick. It is going to puff up. Okay. Next, we're going to spray up a cookie sheet. We're going to lay these out on the cookie sheet. Gives you nice size for that. Alright. What I like to do is to wet my hands and go over the top of the surface. Then I sprinkle sugar on the top. Okay, now that's ready to go in the oven. I'm going to fix the other two and be right back. Okay, now we're going to load them in the oven. And we're going to set the timer for 15 minutes. Okay, it's been cooking for 15 minutes, and so as soon as this goes off, we're going to reset the timer. Again, and just as a reminder to you, we have been baking at 340 degrees. Okay, we're going to rotate these in the oven. Since I have two in there, they're going to rotate back to front, and I'm going to change shelves on them too. You can see they're puffing up, they're rising up. I'm going to rotate this, set it down. I'm going to rotate the other one. See, they're puffed up. They'll puff up in a little bit more yet. Put them back in there and get the timer going. Another 15 minutes. So you have two 15-minute periods going here. Okay, the timer's gone off of the second 15-minute period. We actually want to reset the timer at this point in time for 30 minutes because that's our next period of time that we're concerned with. We're going to pull these out of the, turn off the oven, and we're going to pull them out. You can see how nice and puffed up they are now. It's twice as puffy as they were the last time. But we need to let them cool down a bit so that we can slice them. So we're going to let them cool down for 30 minutes before we're going to cook them for the last segments. Okay, now that we've had the biscotti sitting out cooling down for a half an hour, we need to start the oven back up. And we want to set it to 240 degrees and let it start to get warm while we cut down the biscotti. Okay, cutting down the biscotti, you just run your, I like to use a real thin bread knife. It also acts as a spatula. Just lift it off of there and you begin cutting on a diagonal. Now the biscotti at this point is fully cooked. It's very soft and tender, but that's not how crispy on the outside, but soft and tender here. Biscotti needs to be twice baked, and I like mine extra crispy. So I align them up in a sheet, which we're going to come to in a minute. Now I arrange the biscotti on the sheet, giving them plenty of space in between each one so that they can get nice and toasted. Okay, there's plenty of breathing room around them all. So that one's ready to go back in the oven. I'm going to fix the other one. Okay, now that we have the biscotti sliced and arranged nicely, we're going to put them back in the oven. For 30 minutes and let them toast. And then we're going to rotate them again for a second 30 minutes, and then we're going to turn the oven off and just let them cool down inside the oven, getting them extra crispy. And that is biscotti making 101.